Hi, and welcome to our podcast, Healing with Horses, the #1 podcast for equine guided therapy. I'm one of the hosts, Jacci Jones, and I'm a psychotherapist trained in transactional analysis.
And I'm Julie Lewis, the equine facilitator, and together we're going to guide you through the world of equine guided therapy. Don't forget to click subscribe to be notified of our latest podcast episodes. And if you get any value from this podcast, please support us by leaving a review. It really will help us out and motivate us to keep making these podcasts.
You can connect with us on social media at Equine Guided Therapy and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get regular videos all around equine guided therapy and mental health. We hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome back to Healing with Horses, episode 5 with Julie. I know, we're flying through this. With Julie Lewis and Jacci Jones from Equine Guided Therapy. And what we're going to be talking about in this one is how horses help us develop greater self-awareness.
We are. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
As I said to Jacci when we were discussing this initially, I said, well, there's one thing, you don't get too close, so you get your toes trod onto. So yeah, you will very soon develop self-awareness. You will develop fantastic spatial self-awareness if you're dealing with horses, because obviously you will get trodden on if not. And they're big creatures.
They are. There's something else. I'm not sure whether we spoke about this in one of the previous ones, and I keep threatening to do this in a session, that we all have an energetic field or an energy field around us, and it's different for each one of us. And I did it once with, I can't even remember, I think it was in one of the psychotherapy courses that I did, where somebody had to sit on a chair with their eyes closed and just sense when somebody was coming into the personal space, if you will. And, you know, for some people, they'd be like a meter away and they were like, yeah, that's it. I can sense it now. Whereas some people were like really up close. They could literally breathe and feel it. So we've all got a different personal space. That's it. Yeah. And I think the horses have too.
Yeah, definitely. And from the physicality point of view, it's very reactionary. Excuse me. So that, for example, somebody who is maybe masking emotions and is stressed and whatever is going to have almost certainly quite a sharp, a jerky physicality about them, which to horses who are very naturally very aware of physical beings around them, that can make a horse react jerkily, snatch back at tie-up points, move quickly, not gently, and become quite dangerous without meaning to be dangerous. What they're actually trying to do is use their natural defense form, which is to run away. They're a flight animal. That's what they're actually doing. But for somebody who is, I'm trying to think of another word other than jerky, but if you have some nervous tension around you, some anger, things like that, it's very likely that your physical movements are going to be sharpest. You're going to have that kind of tension exhibiting from you all the time. So your horses will react to that without a shadow of a doubt, whether it's your horses or whether it's our horses. So if it's people who are working around horses, anybody who works with horses will know what it's like to be around a nervous horse. And when you know that you are around a nervous horse as a horse person, you will calm everything down, you will make everything very smooth. So if you imagine a horizontal line, it will be a wavy line like that. How you're working, how you're doing everything is to keep the horse calm. If you know you've got a lovely calm horse that you've been working with for weeks, it's your own horse, or wherever you're working, people will just carry on regardless, and the horse is all chilled because it's fine. If you know you've got a meeting to get to and you're running late, and your day-to-day dealings with those horses, you might find that line is a zigzag. And then the horses that are normally lovely and calm, you know, they're going to make me late today because he snapped off his head collar and he wouldn't let me put his rug on properly, and he's this and he's that, or she's this, when actually what we've talked about before, they're mirroring back your actual
your energy and whatever you're going through,
the field that you're giving off, the electromagnetic energy that you're pushing out there, they're just mirroring back. So it's not, you don't have to have wild horses to do equine therapy. Our horses aren't wild, they're all ridden horses, they're competing, they're owned, you know, well loved, well cared for, but they still have their own natural energy and their own natural innate ability to read and feel, and listen, because again, we were talking about speaking. We speak like this. It's verbal, it's a sound, you can hear it. Horses speak in so many other ways. They do make odd sounds now and again to make themselves understood, but actually a lot of their speaking is physical. And so this is what we were saying, you know, earlier in a previous episode.
And you know, one of the things I think is like emotional regulation, and you know, sometimes as human beings we're not very good at regulating our emotions, but they will mirror to us whether we are being stressed or anxious, or and whatever we're taking in that stable or in the field, whatever, they're going to mirror that straight back to us. So then we've got the opportunity to check in with ourselves and think, actually, I thought I was quite chilled, but something's going on. Where actually am I?
Yeah.
And I think that was picked up on one of the ones that we did, you know, when, you know, the horses responded and reacted differently to this one person, because obviously she was, you know, holding on to a lot of emotion when she went in there, and they responded and reacted to that pretty much straight off.
Well, 2 or 3 of them actually in different ways. That 2 or 3 of the clients with the same had the same reaction in a different way for each one, and it was only then when she realized, and the one lady actually turned around and said, "What's happening? Why am I crying?" I don't cry.
What's going on? You
remember, that's the first thing you said.
And for me, I can remember we went to something where we were with the herd. It was kind of different to what we're doing, but every single horse walked away from me. And I really stood, there was one that did.
You cried, you child.
I did. I got really emotional. But looking back on it, I went in there with the intention of connecting with each one of them horses. And looking back, I think I went in too needy. I literally I wanted them to connect with me. I was desperate for that connection. And I think they picked up on the fact that I was very needy.
Were you that lady that, you know, when you're walking down the, oh, here comes Sally, hang on, cross over quick, don't make eye contact?
Literally, they turned and walked away and just left me standing.
And look at what that did. You know, you were in tears.
Yeah, absolutely. It brought up all sorts of emotions for me. Yeah.
And obviously you've reflected on it and looked at it and, you know, been able to see why. And there was only the one little sad case who actually had anything to do with you. And when we looked,
what does that say?
Yeah, I know. But again, it's the herd behaviour. He's the bottom of the pile, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he was the needy one in them. So hang on, the 2 little needy ones. Oh, Jack.
Honestly,
he desperately needed somebody to do that with him. You know, to actually, he was kind of being ousted a little bit from his gang, and wanted that from you.
Yeah, and you know, it's about. I don't know whether you get this on a one-off. Maybe you could say it, but you know, learning to trust and building up trust. You know, for us, if we don't trust people, then it can be quite difficult. And you know, would the horse pick up on the fact that we don't trust people, or we don't trust them?
Trust, full stop.
Trust, yeah.
It depends how you look at it, because trust in, for example, one of our clients, if you remember, has nothing to do with horses, didn't want to go near the horses, didn't want to go in the stables with the horses initially, but having watched, because it's a group session, having watched the other girls and the other women go through theirs, what they were doing, when we said, right, you can do hands off, you can do outside, we'll do it this way with you, and she went, no, we'll give it a go. And by trusting in us, I suppose, she straight away, there was some trust there. And I said, look, you don't have to do this. If you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. And I can remember the phrase she said to me, Julie, if you tell me that they're going to be fine with me, I'm trusting you to do it. I will go in there and do it. And she did. And the response she got was amazing, because this is a woman who has no, I wouldn't say fear, but is very wary of horses. Not like most people when they're brought up saying horses but kick and bite, you know what I mean? And until you learn that they don't without good reason, that's people's general, and rightly so, don't walk behind a horse.
Yeah, they can be damaged.
Don't walk behind a horse. It's sensible information to give to people. But straight away, every horse that she worked with on that day actually was all over her, wasn't it? Exactly. It was almost like, yes, look, I don't hurt. I'm here. Say hello to me.
Yeah.
Because she was open then. She had just opened herself up to the moment, to invest in the process, because it was a process the whole day. It's a 3-hour session.
Yeah.
And the day we were processing things as we went on all day through. And so she'd completely invested in it. I mean, she did go in very open-minded and was prepared to take it completely on board, but has come away a complete convert. It's, you know, and is, so when you say trust, I do look and think, yeah, that was the horse being open. Had she gone in there maybe still feeling like, oh, she said it's not going to hurt, but it's not going to do anything to me, but I think she would have had a different reaction. They may have just turned and walked from her. They may have, I think she would have had, I can't say what the reaction
To be fair, they did have her pinned up against the wall, but it was in a very
it was in a nice way.
It was in a very nurturing way. They were very attentive to her, let's put it that way. It was lovely to watch. They felt attentive, they were caring.
Yeah, I was just about to say then, had it been another human, they'd have been putting their arms around them and saying, yep, you're all right, how are you?
I've got your back.
I'm Bill, I'm Dave, I'm Sally, you know, whatever their names are. And introducing themselves. You're new to the group, come on in. So it's trust, but it's in a different kind. Again, like you've said, it's the mirroring back. So trust is a different way if you're dealing with horses from a professional point of view, and it's say riders, because most people just see horses being ridden and things like that. And that's where, again, as a rider and an owner, anybody who owns and rides horses will know there's a massive amount of trust goes in between those people and their horse. You know, you will have a massive amount of trust going in to jump a fence or going out for a hack on the roads or in the fields when you know that there's just me and this horse. And if a rabbit shoots out or a pheasant flies up or a car's coming too fast down the road, you're trusting each other because it's a partnership. So it's that bond, and again we keep going back to the word connection. It's that connection is such a base level that there is trust.
And one of the other things, we haven't actually done this yet, but I would love to do this in one of the sessions, is, you know, to connect with the horse and try and get the horse to do something without being on a lead rope, to see, you know, and all that stuff around patience. You know, you can't force that age-old saying, you know, you can take a horse to water but you can't make it drink, and how that trust and connection and relationship is built up. I'm not sure whether we would do that in a 3-hour session. Would we? Could we? I don't know.
Probably could, but we would have to set the session slightly differently, because horses naturally they're naturally inquisitive, they're naturally kind, you know, they're nice-natured animals, and they naturally gravitate towards humans. So in the herd situation, you wouldn't possibly be able to make a herd or invite a herd to do anything. Having said that, I can have mine miles up a field and shout and they'll come trundling down. So again, there's learned behavior and there's conditioned behavior. So things like that, it's what they're conditioned to do and what they've learned to do and how their reactions to certain things. But certainly the situation you're talking about, I know what you're talking about, is yes, we can do it, but that we'd have to take out a lot of other things from the session that we'd now do. So it would be very much, they do things like that in a round pen. We could do it like that. But that's not in a first session. That wouldn't be something you'd do in a first session. That would be further along in the sessions for those people that are coming regularly, and working through their own issues. That's much deeper into their personal issues then. So it's just, and it's things like, I know what you're talking about, things like walking through poles, walking around cones, walking from one place to another and the horse just following with you, because it's a herd. So if there's only you and that horse, as soon as you are feeling like the leader of the herd, they're going to follow you.
Which, you know, for the client is going to be really good for confidence and self-esteem if they can make that connection, and, you know,
and know that other person wants to be with them.
I'm not saying get the horse to do it, but lead the horse to do something. I would imagine that that's quite empowering in that sort of a situation. When it's got free will, it doesn't need to do it, it's choosing to do it. It's an
invitation, isn't it? That horse is being invited to be with you by just you being there. And then they will generally join you.
Absolutely. So, you know, around self-awareness and things like that, it's just kind of shining a light on us and, you know, what we're doing and us becoming more self-aware when we're around the horses because of the response and reaction to us.
For exactly that, like you were just saying then, they could walk away. And then you're thinking, well, actually, what am I doing that's sending that horse that way? And when I go to it, it's moving that way again. And it's not frightened. It's not going there because it's frightened. It's going there because it doesn't want to be in my company.
Yeah. And it could just be that we're willing it too much to do it. I know my daughter had Jack, Jack, the little SH1T, who, do you know what I mean?
Beautiful.
If he got out in the field and he didn't want to come in, there wasn't a cat and hell's chance that you get him in. And the amount of times looking back on it, I was in a rush. I had so much to do and I just wanted to catch him and get him in. And it was those times when he would not be caught at all. And then other times when I was laid back and I had, you know, all the time in the world, he would come straight to me and walk straight in without having to have a halter on him. He would just go to the stable. And it's like, why can you not do this when I'm in a rush? And it's because I was in a rush.
And it's only looking back now that you can see it's because you're in a rush.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we'll all do it. We go, you know, typical minute tonight of all nights when I'm in a hurry, you're doing that. Well, that's why he's doing that, because you're in a hurry. And the behavior you're exhibiting, albeit subconsciously, is having an effect and an impact on their behavior. So it's the mirroring again and showing how that whatever we're doing, they're going to mirror it back at us.
Yeah. And I think that's the powerful thing for me is, you know, we're responsible for our actions and only they're literally responding and reacting to it. Whereas another human might not do that. Does that make sense? So in you know, in a communication, in a conflict situation or whatever, I don't think we're aware of our own involvement in it. We feel like it's the other person that's doing something to us all the time. Whereas when we're trying to get a horse to do something, they're literally mirroring back our body language and our intention and what we're putting in there.
Yeah.
Whereas another human being, we wouldn't see that. We just think, oh, they're just being awkward.
Yeah, and then that's when you have situations arise where people get antsy with you or there's conflict, you know, and it's worst case physical conflict.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and then that doesn't happen a great deal in this world now, thankfully. But from your point of view, you then take that home thinking, God, I've got nothing done. All I got was grief all day at work.
Yeah. Because
everything I asked anybody to do with me, for me, after me, has not been done. Now, is it because it was the way you were asking, what the vibe you were giving off? That's
Which in that response, you know, if we're looking at self-awareness and everything, they're really good at, you know, helping us with our resilience and persistence, do you know what I mean? And patience and all those things. Because if we're not getting it right and they're not, you know, doing what we want them to, we need to adapt and we need to change. We need to be
flexible. That's some of the exercises that we would do. Because when we're doing a session like that, some of the exercises we'd do, we'd have to physically say, right, this is what you're doing. Are you aware of that? No. Okay. Look. Exactly. Now do this instead.
Yeah.
And then watch the response. And straight away, then it just mushrooms and mushrooms into the reaction that we're looking for.
Yeah.
And then the person is aware of it. And right, when I'm in that situation next time, when I feel like this, and I can feel everything rising, my temperature rising, my blood boiling, you know, I feel my pulse in my ears, that kind of thing. This is what I need to do. I need to.
And this is our hope, is that they take this home with them and then they can use this awareness for in their everyday life if they are getting frustrated, or do you know what I mean, their patience isn't that well, or they need to build their own resilience and robustness and things like that. You know, standing up for yourself. If you can get a horse that what are they, 16, 17 hands, some of the ones that we use, they're big creatures, and if you can, you know, encourage something that size to do what you want, then, you know, in a family situation or in a work situation, you can get your colleagues and co-workers to kind of get on board with what you want as well.
And resilience in a group for humans is massive, because you're not always going to feel like you fit. And so to have that resilience, to actually accept that you're not going to fit, and that's not a negative. You don't fit, not because you're better than them or worse than them, you just don't fit. that isn't a negative thing either. And it's learning that it's not negative. Okay, that's you and you don't fit, but you're still working with them and you're still doing this and you're still doing that. And you're going to go home to the people that you do fit with, or you're going to the next lot of offices, or next week you'll be working there where you feel that you fit better, but it isn't actually a reflection on the work you might be doing.
No.
It's not a reflection on your personality. Different animals, different horses out in the wild, it's not all one big herd. They find their own herds.
Yeah.
And that is, we are herd behavior creatures. You know, we do it. We've laughed when we've talked about it. You said you stand there and before you know it, people walking past you in the street are walking past you going,
yeah,
you'll have a crowd gathered
herd
around.
behavior where we all copy. Yeah. Because to me, I talk about resilience a lot with clients, and sometimes, you know, people think that resilience is stickability and keeping going through adversity and a struggle and everything. Whereas
look after yourself.
But sometimes resilience is knowing when to pivot, knowing when to give up and start again. To me, that can be resilience as well. You know,
and knowing it's
this isn't working, so I need to do something different.
And without blame.
Yeah.
So it's not a blame thing. Horses don't blame you when things go wrong. You know, that the horses don't blame you that it's winter and it's still wet and the fields are still muddy. It's they accept it. So it's that kind of resilience. Yeah, it's you've just said it then, accepting that perhaps I need to change what I'm doing, but that's not a bad thing, and it's not a negative thing.
Not. Yeah.
And I could maybe feel better for it when I'm in that situation next with those people. I maybe won't be quite as loud.
Yeah.
And I might enjoy it actually more. And you almost certainly you would, because you're able to take more on and you'd be integrated into that group.
So all this stuff comes up in one of the sessions. Well, we have no idea what's going to come up. This is the beauty.
The clients don't half the time.
No, but you know, it's not like we can plan our session. Yes, we have an outline of, you know, obviously the safety,
the exercises,
you know, the length of time that we've got. But what happens within that, we have no idea. We're just, I don't want to say we're winging it, because you're an equine expert and I'm a person, you know, we know what we're doing, but we don't know what's going to come up in that session. And that's the beauty of it.
We have to put you in a situation, and then, so I'll put you in a physical situation with a horse, with an equine, and then Jackie will evaluate it. I'll tell her what the horse did, and you'll go with them what they're feeling and why and things like that. So
and that's the beauty of it, is that it's an unknown entity. We have no idea what's going to come up in the sessions, and it flows.
It is customer led. It's very customer led. You know, it's the horses and ourselves, we're tools on the day, and as a customer, as a client, you or all our clients are able to get out of it what they put into it, but they'll have, when we start the sessions, you always go through, you have to have your intentions, and so there's stuff that goes on before you even get near the horses, and that's the bit that actually puts people in the zone to be able to then get the most out of their sessions.
Because that's what we want for the clients. We want you to go away having achieved something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we haven't had one yet that hasn't, so
no, absolutely, that's it. And we, like I say, I learn something every day. I just love it. I'm hooked. So what we're going to talk about at the next one is building trust and how horses can help us, which is a big thing for a lot of people. So until next time, Julie.
All righty, we'll go through that one. We might need a bit longer.
Speak to you soon.
All right, take care, everybody. Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Healing with Horses. Please follow us on whatever platform you're currently listening on, and leave us a review.
And if you got value from this episode, please share it so that others get value from it too. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube at Equine Guided Therapy.
Or you can visit our website, equineguidedtherapy.com, to book a session with us. Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you all soon.